Yes, I wrote a book and started it in '76, and I was writing about mind control murders and worked for doctors. I was writing about chipping people, putting chips in root canal, etc., other parts of the body, and you can control them, like heart bypasses. One of the doctors I worked for actually had put one in. The chairman of the board of Dixon sound, if you say tomato, it makes it sound like it's not much of a produce, but it went into Mexico. It was quite huge. The odd thing is, while I'm doing the book, I leave trying to finish the book because it's costing me. And the job I had next was for Dixon Tomato at Powers Ferry in their home office. And it's shocking what you find out there. Okay, Larry Flint flew me out to his home in October twice of '83. I was in a political campaign to replace one of the doctors I wrote about in the book. So here he says, I know who's responsible for his shooting, and this is April of 1984. Now I'm going to mention, and I hope he doesn't suffer for me telling the truth. I was kidnapped and brought over to Moulton, Alabama. So I must have been somebody, right? That's where they put me. That's a rooster in the back right there, and all the garbage and filth there is. And this is them, and this is me in high school. Now I wrote about mind control murders, how you program people to shoot, to look like they committed suicide, like Robin Williams. You can call them Manchurian candidates. It's not contained to using rifles. It's just that they want your guns taken away. I'm going to mention this one, Bonnie Saylor, when I worked for the district attorney Fred Simpson in 1980 in Huntsville, after I was almost killed April Fool Day of '80. Now I'm going to... This is me when I was brought over here to that family, and they're all gussied up to look like, not the filth and the garbage and the abuse and all of it. This is Lina Dempsey, who killed her twins. And they brought me over here in '41 at age 2, gave me the name of the twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married Childers. So this is 1943, so I was brought in '41. So I must have been, 4 years old here, or about that, I guess. They didn't have cars either. Anyway, I grew up being told that I was the twin, Peggy, and the other one died. Both of them, she killed both of them. They covered it up. And then, so I'm showing my bed over here, excuse me. I'm going to turn this around because I've shown you enough. I was living at Moonraker Apartments in Marietta, the only luxury apartments I ever lived in. I was doing the book at Treetop in '76. It was down the road from it, if you want to say that. Marietta. Moved up to Moonraker. Moonraker was a movie that came after then, about a year or 2 years after me doing the book. So I didn't get the names from the movie. It was Roger Moore, and it had in the movie something about outer space and about a mind control, I believe, mechanism. So I had none of this prior. I was doing it on my own because of what I knew about mind control and how it was done. It's done at a low level. You're not aware you're getting it. And this is back in '76, so you can imagine how it's advanced. But it's been, well, like your dog can hear a whistle sound, then you can't hear it. So you can't hear the level that you're getting it, and you're being programmed. And they've put chips in babies. They've been doing it for a long, long time. I know personally of some, and I'm not going to say who he is. In about 1964, that Philip Christensen was a doctor. dentist I had just met, and I started to go to work for him, and didn't. And this person was sent to him, and when he came back, he was a totally different person. So they can do anything they want to with it. And it's been going on since the Tesla files that were stolen in 1930, and probably before, with the shooting of King Ferdinand and the Rasputin that helped. Well, the United States did that. Helped do it was take out Tsar Nicholas, and that was Anastasia up here that was murdered at Blue Ridge Mental Health. Yes, and I put all this up in the past, so I'm not going to go back. I'm going to say this: the JFK helped in my kidnapping. So there is your Parkland. These murders are done in patterns because they're invisible. This should be the end of it. Now, whether they tell it is another story. They have gotten away with the whole thing, unless either God himself comes in and does it, or the Brits are able to do it, or the people doing it here, the agencies, tell it themselves. As it stands, this should be the end, where you know that there's people being killed. You just don't accept the fact that your government's into it, and it's mind control being used. So they can keep on doing it, and you just won't know it, or you could help stop it, and you could have told about what's happened to me, and listen to my many YouTubes and videos that I put up with plenty of proof. I'm going to say here, I'm going to read from this Saturday morning, this is about the 17th, I think so, Saturday of February of 18. I came here in 86, October, and every one of the media has known about my kidnapping and covered it up since it happened in 41, and who my father is and all that. It's been a cover-up by the Illuminati, your global government, who controls your media, and your United Nations is a front for your global government. That there's a prophecy in the Bible about it. I didn't even connect it until much later. Tex Mars wrote a book, I believe it was Tex, M-A-R-R-S, where Timothy McVeigh was in your military, and they put a chip up him, and he went on to help. Well, he didn't. He's a puppet. Blow up the Murray building in Oklahoma City, and he was put to death. So here's what you're dealing with. People are being programmed. They're victims, just like the Nicholas Cruz down in Parkland, Florida, programmed from way back, probably since he was a baby, because this is ongoing. You can't wait for the people to hate his guts. Can you put yourself in his shoes for a moment? Or, the person that shot Larry Flint was programmed. But this is unlimited. It's a weapon that's unlimited, and they've so put it, and you're buying it, where they can say it's mental illness. It has nothing to do with mental illness. The Aurora, Colorado, James Holmes, he was put in a mental hospital, and you call that treating a person for an illness they don't have with psychotic drugs? He's not mentally ill. These people have been programmed. The agency doing it can program armies. Now then, I want to go back to the local media here, and in Atlanta, I didn't know Patty Hearst's father. I didn't know Hearst owned the Atlanta Journal back then. This is 76. Well, I guess they've owned it for a long time. Whether they still do, I don't know. But when I was moved from Moonraker, which is you associate with 007, and the name of my book was A License to Kill, you associate with Timothy Dalton, a 007, in The Monarch. I didn't know, neither of these movies were even out until a couple of years after I wrote the book and all this happened to me. A letter from the FBI, June the 23rd, my father's birthday, only this is in 79. And I had moved from Moonraker up to Terrell Mill, Bentley Road, just a couple of blocks up. While I was there, I got the letter from the FBI, ongoing investigation, national security involved, issued by U.S. Attorney William Harper. James, the assistant, was James Baker. But then you get another James Baker that's not connected, who was connected with would that be the Nixon? I'm not, Baker, Reagan. No, it was Reagan administration. But that's not the one that was the assistant to William Harper. Okay, they're in Atlanta. So you've got this ongoing investigation, they say, and I thought it was because of my book. But here's what the man, because I didn't learn about my kidnapping real name till late 83, after this campaign. The manager at Terrell Mill, Laurelwood, in Marietta, that I moved to in 79, May the 8th. She told me, and I thought, why are you telling me this? She knew about the book and what was being done to me and my sons, Mark and Scott. And my husband, or ex-husband, whichever came back, not as a resident, stay there a few days a week, because he knew what was going on. So I had specifically taken him up to the manager and introduced her, and I'd signed the lease before, months before. In my lease, there was no misunderstanding whatsoever to what it was my lease. I just asked if it was okay for him to stay because of what was going on with us in reference to the book and the FBI letter. And of course, yes, and here's what she told me. She said, I believe she said her uncle, her uncle was in charge of the Patty Hearst kidnapping. I had no idea that I'd been running to Atlanta Journal, owned by the Hearst. Had no idea the Hearst had helped in my kidnapping. You're talking about the mafia, the Illuminati. And that took down my dad and helped kidnap me. And JFK was a monumental figure in it, and his father, who had been made ambassador to England, specifically to help take down my father. And then I was born, so they had to get rid of me. And my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor, she was queen in 1936. My father didn't abdicate. He had meant to return. He had an addendum that said that nothing would, that if he had an heir, it would not disinherit the heir. The heir would become the monarch. So the day I was born Queen Victoria II, heir to the British crown. It would bring back my father as power of attorney and guardian. So they had to get rid of me. So thus George VI, the illegal brother, helped in the kidnapping, the takedown, and he represents the global government. He sold out. His own brother sold out his own country, and Elizabeth's still doing it, and yes, they totally know. So I want to get back to the mind control murders that I started writing about in 76, and then the letter in 79, I was almost killed, April Fool Day of 80, illegally transported across the state line to Huntsville, Alabama, where I worked for the district attorney, Fred Simpson, 1980, in the condition I'm in. The next job was for Doyle Duke. So you're getting into patterns, the Simpson, the Duke, etc. And so I'm going to leave it there. I found out in 1983, after this campaign, and Mr. Flint was shot in 78 by a program shooter. The thing is, like I say, the weapon is unlimited. They can kill you with a heart attack. How do you prove it? Strokes, cancer, etc., or they can cure it. Now, when I came here to Roanoke in 86, and this is from telling all this, and my husband was running from TV station to news media in Atlanta, and then he sold me out, or he sit back and let them do it, and I don't know. They separated me and my children. I don't know if they're alive or dead. That's one reason I went on YouTube and Facebook, is to have a record of all this and somehow they would know where I'm at and could reach me if they're alive. So all the media has covered this up. The Illuminati has helped kidnap me. They were then the ones that kidnapped me, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Kennedys, some of my own family, Elizabeth's father, etc., and the Roosevelts. President Roosevelt, Eisenhower was a friend of Sir Winston Churchill, who burned the Windsor files. So, and then some of these people became president, like Truman and JFK. Okay, JFK was shot by a program shooter, and this is where I want to get into it, but I want to tell this first. WDBJ7, this is Saturday morning, and what did I say it was? I think it's the 17th of February. Just had Valentine's Day of 2018. So these people, the media, not just here, but personally, since I came here, they've all known this. I've gone to their stations with the files on Anastasia, where she was murdered. And you won't get those files anywhere else. Someone gave them to me. And they won't print it if you do. Anyway, I had one of the WDBJ7 that came out. I was having to beg for food. And this gentleman stood behind me, and I hope by telling what he said, it doesn't cause them. Isn't that something? You tell the truth, and that's all you needed to do in this, and you're done. So here we go. He was standing behind me, and he said his wife worked for WDBJ7. He says, they are not going to tell anything about you or what you're saying. And he went on, I won't go further. But this morning now on WDBJ7, they've got all these young reporters at Channel 10, except John Carlin, who I think's a good guy. But what the heck do they know now? Over time, it's covered up. Even if you still giving them information, they're not going to tell it. Nobody is. Your national is controlled by the Illuminati. Just like Trump's told you, all right? Now then, this gentleman this morning's a young reporter, and he's on the morning show, WDBJ7. And here's what they're saying about the Parkland, Florida shootings. Now they're going to blame it on the FBI. Have you been listening to anything I've put up all these years? Who do you think did this to me, is doing this to where it can be proven? It can also be shut up today, and the truth never told. What a conspiracy, mainly because they don't want to tell about me and my kidnapping, and they don't want to tell about mind control. As long as you don't know it, you feel safe. Don't tell them or they'll kill the messenger, and that's me. Now then, but most of it's because of my kidnapping and what you all did to Great Britain and me. My God, how much more of a crime can happen. But he told this morning that this could all relating to Parkland in Florida, that the FBI supposedly overlooked a tip that could have stopped all these shootings. Well, the thing there is, what kind of sick joke is that? My YouTubes and Facebook have been up there since 2012, the Facebook, 2013, the YouTube. I was telling all this, doing the book, in a political campaign, going everywhere I could telling this mess. And all anybody wanted to do was shut me up. So no, they didn't overlook, the FBI didn't overlook these tips on this program shooter, only they leave